Trish, welcome. Thank you very much for making your time available. Can you just give us a more or less idea of where you're from and from how you get fit into disaster management?
I have quite a long history of working in informal settlement communities, and that brought me to work for the Research Alliance for Disaster and Risk Reduction at Stellenbosch University, where I am supposedly a project coordinator, but my task is now to also run a postgraduate module at the university in the geography department.
Trish, in South Africa, the legislation and policies are all directed at national government, local government, provincial government. Where does the local community fit into the whole process of community-based risk reduction?
You know, speaking of the legislation is a very important place to start, because the disaster management framework explicitly states that the community should be at the coalface of all disaster risk management, and from my perspective, also for disaster risk reduction. And I think that's very true. If we think about it, who are the first responders to any emergency situation or disaster? It's always the community. And therefore, we need to help communities to be those first responders. If we look at globally, it has been shown that in any emergency situation, it's generally the community who have more of a sense of what's needed in any situation. And they're the first to actually respond to the situation long before the humanitarian aid agencies arrive and the relief organizations. So I think it's very important to understand that they have something to bring to the party and that they do understand. For example, if we look at the ADPC, at their critical guidelines for community-based disaster risk reduction, they actually speak to building a culture of safety among communities by reducing vulnerability and also increasing the capacities among those communities. So the bottom line is that community-based disaster risk management really needs to involve the communities themselves and speak to them and come to understand what it is that's going on in those communities in order to understand the particular vulnerabilities that they face.